It is often called the American Dyatlov Pass. On a freezing night in February 1978, 5 young men drove into the darkness of the Plumas National Forest in California and never came back. They were known as the Boys, best friends, inseparable. They had no reason to be on that mountain. They had no enemies. But months later, when the snow melted, the truth that emerged was far more terrifying than a simple disappearance. One of them was found inside a trailer, wrapped in sheets, dead from starvation. But here is the silent detail that haunts investigators to this day. He was surrounded by enough food to last for a year. He had heat. He had matches. Why did he starve to death in a room full of survival gear? What were they running from in the dark woods? And where is the 5th man, who has never been found? Tonight, on The Silent Detail, we unravel the chilling mystery of the Yuba County Five. To understand the tragedy, we must first understand the bond between these 5 men. There was Bill Sterling, 29, Jack Hood, 24, Ted Weiher, 32, Jack Madruga, 30, and Gary Mathias, 25. All of them, except for Gary Mathias, had mild intellectual disabilities. They lived with their parents in Yuba City and were described by their families as gentle giants. They were essentially children in grown men's bodies. Their leader, in a way, was Gary Mathias. He was an army veteran who suffered from schizophrenia, but as long as he took his medication, he was functional and protective of the group. Their greatest joy in life was basketball. They played for a team called the Gateway Gators, and on February 25th, they were scheduled to play the biggest game of their lives, a tournament that could win them a week-long trip to Los Angeles. They were excited. They had their jerseys ready. They had every reason to come home safely. On the evening of February 24th, 1978, the group drove 50 miles north to Chico to play a basketball match. They won. High on victory, they stopped at a convenience store to buy snacks, Hostess fruit pies, Snickers bars, and sodas. They piled back into Jack Madruga's beloved 1969 Mercury Montego. It was supposed to be a straight drive back home to Yuba City, a simple route they knew well, but they never made it home. Instead of driving south for reasons no one can explain, they drove east. They drove straight up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. Why? Why would Jack Madruga, a man who hated the cold and was extremely careful with his car, drive his prized vehicle onto a rough, unpaved, snow-covered mountain road in the dead of night? Did they get lost, or were they being chased? When the boys didn't return, their parents knew something was wrong. A massive search operation began. 5 days later, a park ranger found the Mercury Montego. It was abandoned on a remote snowbound road, 70 miles away from where they should have been. But the condition of the car baffled the police. It wasn't crashed. It wasn't broken down. The car was stuck in a few inches of snow, but 5 healthy men could have easily pushed it out. The keys were missing. The window was rolled down. Inside, police found the candy wrappers and basketball programs. But the most confusing part was the undercarriage of the car. The road was full of bumps and ruts, yet the bottom of the car was perfect. Not a single scratch. This suggested that whoever drove it up there didn't drive in a panic. They drove carefully. So, why did they stop? And why did they walk into the freezing forest wearing only light jackets and basketball shoes? There was one potential witness that night, a man named Joseph Shones. Shones had gotten his own car stuck in the snow up on that same road earlier that night. While trying to push his car, he suffered a mild heart attack. As he sat in his car, in pain and terrified, he saw 2 sets of headlights approaching. He saw a car stop behind him. He saw a group of men get out, illuminated by the headlights. Shones called out for help, but the moment he yelled, the lights went dark. The men stopped talking. Later, Shones said he saw flashlights moving in the trees. He claimed he saw a woman holding a baby, but experts believe this was a hallucination from his pain. However, his sighting of the car matches the timeline. If the boys saw Shones, why didn't they help him? Or did they think Shones was a threat? Did they run into the woods because they were afraid of him? The snow fell for months, It wasn't until June, for months later, that the thaw revealed the horrifying truth. About 19 miles deeper into the forest from where the car was found, there was a trailer used by the Forest Service. Inside the trailer, searchers found the body of Ted Weiher. This is where the mystery turns into a nightmare. Ted was wrapped in 8 sheets, tucked in like a child. His shoes were missing. But Ted didn't die from the cold. He died from starvation and dehydration. He had lost nearly 100 pounds. His beard had grown, meaning he lived for weeks, maybe months, inside that trailer. But here is the silent detail. Next to the trailer was a storage shed. The window was broken. Inside, there were dozens of cans of military-grade food C rations, dry paper and matches. Ted Weiher starved to death while surrounded by food. He had matches, and there were wooden furniture in the trailer he could have burned for heat. He didn't touch them. He opened a few cans of food. But he used a P38 can opener incorrectly. Why? Why didn't he eat more? Why didn't he build a fire? Detectives believe the group might have been afraid that the owner of the trailer would come back. Or perhaps they were disciplined to not touch things that didn't belong to them. Ted wasn't alone. Nearby, the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found. They had perished in the snow, and sadly, their bodies had been scavenged by animals. Only bones remained. Jack Hoot's remains were found just 2 miles away. His own father, who was part of the search team, was the one who found his son's backbone. But what about Gary Mathias? Mathias's tennis shoes were found inside the trailer where Ted died. This suggests Gary was with Ted for a while. He likely put on Ted's leather shoes, which were bigger to accommodate his swollen, frost-bitten feet. Gary Mathias walked out of that trailer and walked off the face of the earth. He has never been found. Did his schizophrenia medication run out, causing him to hallucinate and lead the group to their doom? Or did he try to walk for help and die somewhere in the vast wilderness? Almost 50 years later, the Yuba County Five mystery remains unsolved. The questions still haunt the families. Why did they drive up the mountain? Why did they abandon a working car? Why did they starve in a room full of food? Some say it was an accidental wrong turn followed by panic. Others believe they were coerced or chased by someone. But the most tragic theory is that their own innocence led to their demise. In a terrifying situation, without Gary's guidance, they simply didn't know how to survive. They waited for help that never came. What do you think happened on that mountain? If you want to explore more unexplainable mysteries, make sure to